Before the arrival of Christianity and Islam in Africa, there were a great variety of traditional religions and belief systems across the continent. These religions were based on animism, the belief that all things, including animals, plants, and natural phenomena, have a spirit or soul. African traditional religions were diverse and varied from region to region, but they shared some common features, including ancestral worship, nature worship, rituals and ceremonies, divination, and taboos and restrictions. Ancestral worship was a common practice in which ancestors were believed to have the power to influence the lives of their descendants. Nature worship involved the veneration of natural phenomena, animals, and plants. Rituals and ceremonies often involved music, dance, and other forms of performance. Divination was used to gain insight into the future or to communicate with the spirit world. Taboos and restrictions related to food, sex, and other aspects of daily life were believed to help maintain social order and prevent harm. With the coming of Christianity and Islam, most of these practices were extinct, and Africans were convinced that their religion was bad and that they should drop it and embrace Christianity and Islam. Christianity and Islam were introduced to Africa at different times and in different regions. Christianity was introduced to North Africa in the 1st century AD, with the arrival of Saint Mark in Alexandria, Egypt. The spread of Christianity in North Africa was aided by the presence of a large Jewish population and the Roman Empire's adoption of Christianity in the 4th century AD. Christianity then spread to other regions of Africa through the efforts of missionaries and traders, with the arrival of Portuguese explorers in the 15th century AD leading to the establishment of Christian communities in sub-Saharan Africa. Islam, on the other hand, was introduced to Africa in the 7th century AD, with the arrival of Arab armies in Egypt and the subsequent spread of Islam across North Africa. Islam was also spread through trade networks, with Muslim traders introducing the religion to sub-Saharan Africa. The spread of Islam in Africa was aided by the fact that it was seen as compatible with many traditional African beliefs and practices. Today, Christianity and Islam are the two dominant religions in Africa, with a significant percentage of the population identifying as either Christian or Muslim. The ratio between Muslims and Christians in Africa is almost balanced, with about 600 million Christians and about 570 million Muslims. Today, the impact of both religions can be felt on the continent, and in this video, we shall be presenting both the negative and positive impacts of Christianity and Islam in Africa. Before we continue, take a few seconds and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Let's begin on the bright side with the positive impact of Christianity and Islam in Africa. 1. They use it as a coping mechanism. Religion, be it Christianity or Islam, has often been used as a coping mechanism by many Africans, particularly in times of hardship, conflict, and uncertainty. Religion provides a source of comfort, hope, and meaning, and can help individuals and communities to find strength and resilience in the face of adversity. In many African societies, religion is deeply intertwined with daily life, and religious beliefs and practices are often integrated into social and cultural traditions. This integration means that religion can provide a sense of continuity and stability in times of change, helping individuals and communities to maintain a sense of identity and purpose. Religious practices such as prayer, meditation, and attending religious services can provide a sense of community and social support, and may help individuals to cope with stress and trauma. Religious leaders and organizations often play a key role in providing emotional and spiritual support to those in need. 2. Provision of social services. Religion has played an important role in providing social services in Africa, particularly in areas where government services may be lacking. Many religious organizations have established schools, hospitals, clinics, and other social services to meet the needs of their communities. For example, many Christian and Muslim organizations have established schools and universities across Africa, providing access to education for many Africans who would otherwise not have had the opportunity. Some religious organizations also provide vocational training and other forms of support to help young people develop skills and find employment. Religious organizations have also been involved in providing healthcare services to millions of Africans, running hospitals, clinics, and health programs. In some cases, religious organizations are the primary providers of healthcare services in remote or underserved areas. In addition to education and healthcare, many religious organizations provide social services such as food aid, shelter, and other forms of support to vulnerable communities, particularly in times of crisis such as natural disasters, conflict, or famine. While providing social services is not the primary mission of many religious organizations, these services are often seen as a way of living out the religious values of compassion, service, and social justice. 3. Conflict resolution. Religion has played a role in conflict resolution in many African societies. Religious leaders and organizations have often been involved in peace-building efforts, promoting reconciliation and healing in communities affected by conflict. One example of this is the role that religious leaders played in ending the civil war in Liberia in the 1990s. Christian and Muslim leaders worked together to promote peace and reconciliation, and their efforts were instrumental in bringing an end to the conflict. In other cases, religious leaders have worked to prevent conflict from escalating by promoting dialogue and understanding between different religious and ethnic groups. Religious organizations have also been involved in providing relief and support to communities affected by conflict, helping to mitigate the impact of violence and displacement. Religious organizations have also been involved in promoting human rights and justice, advocating for the rights of marginalized groups, and promoting respect for human dignity. In some cases, religious leaders have played a key role in advocating for political reform and democratic governance, working to promote peace, stability, and the rule of law. 4. Women empowerment. Religion has played a role in promoting women's empowerment in some African societies, although the relationship between religion and gender equality is complex and varies across different regions and religious traditions. In some cases, religious leaders and organizations have worked to promote women's rights and gender equality, challenging traditional gender roles and advocating for women's education, employment, and political participation. For example, some Christian and Muslim organizations have established women's rights groups, providing a platform for women to voice their concerns and advocate for change. Religious organizations have also been involved in providing social and economic support to women, particularly in rural areas where access to resources and education may be limited. Some religious organizations have established microfinance programs and vocational training centers to help women develop skills and start their businesses. However, it's important to note that religion has not always been a positive force for women's empowerment, and there are many examples of religious beliefs and practices that have been used to justify gender inequality and discrimination. In some cases, religious leaders and organizations have been resistant to women's rights and gender equality, promoting traditional gender roles and patriarchal values. Overall, while religion has played a role in promoting women's empowerment in some African societies, the relationship between religion and gender equality is complex and multifaceted and varies across different religious traditions and cultural contexts. Negative impact of Christianity in Africa. 1. Lack of critical thinking. Religion, like any other belief system, can sometimes inhibit critical thinking in Africa and elsewhere, particularly when it is used to justify unquestioning acceptance of dogma or to discourage free inquiry or debate. In some cases, religious beliefs and practices may be used to reinforce traditional cultural norms or to discourage questioning of authority, which can limit the development of critical thinking skills. For example, some religious teachings may discourage the questioning of religious texts or leaders, or may discourage scientific inquiry if it conflicts with religious beliefs. However, it's important to note that religion is not the only factor that can inhibit critical thinking in Africa or elsewhere. Other factors, such as poverty, lack of education, and political repression, can also limit the development of critical thinking skills. 2. Enable laziness and poverty. It is also true that religion has sometimes been used to justify or perpetuate poverty in Africa. In some cases, religious leaders or organizations may use religious teachings to discourage economic development or may exploit religious beliefs to maintain their power and wealth at the expense of their followers. Religion makes Africans understand that you can have it all if you just believe, which is just ridiculous. Africans spend the vast majority of their time in churches praying and singing instead of working. This is why Africans are the most religious people, yet the poorest people on earth. However, religion is not the only factor that contributes to poverty in Africa. Other factors, such as political instability, corruption, and economic inequality, also play a significant role. 3. Intolerance and conflicts. Religion has sometimes been a source of intolerance in Africa, particularly when it is used to justify discrimination or violence against people of different religions or beliefs. Religious tensions and conflicts have been a persistent problem in many African societies, particularly in areas where different religious groups coexist. In some cases, religious leaders or organizations may use religious teachings to promote intolerance and hatred towards people of different religions or beliefs. This can lead to discrimination, violence, and conflict, and can undermine social cohesion and stability in affected communities. Moreover, religious intolerance is often fueled by political and economic factors, such as competition over scarce resources, or by historical grievances and conflicts that are exacerbated by religious differences. However, it is important to note that religion is not the only factor that contributes to intolerance in Africa. Other factors, such as ethnicity, language, and cultural differences, also play a significant role. 4. Ignorance and rejection of traditional beliefs. Religion has sometimes been a factor in the rejection or suppression of traditional beliefs in Africa, particularly in areas where Christianity or Islam have been introduced by missionaries or colonial powers. In some cases, religious beliefs and practices were used to justify the suppression of traditional African cultures and beliefs, which were seen as primitive or backward. However, it is also important to note that religion has often coexisted with traditional beliefs and practices in African societies, and that many African religions have incorporated elements of Christianity or Islam into their own belief systems. Moreover, many Africans continue to practice traditional beliefs alongside their religious faith, and in some cases, traditional beliefs have been integrated into religious practices. It is also worth noting that ignorance and rejection of traditional beliefs are not solely a result of religion. Other factors, such as modernization, globalization, and urbanization, have also contributed to the erosion of traditional cultures and beliefs in Africa. 5. Exploitation. Some religious organizations have been involved in exploitative practices, such as forced labor, child trafficking, and sexual abuse. In some cases, religious leaders or organizations have used their positions of authority to exploit vulnerable individuals or groups. 6. Stigmatization. Religion has sometimes been a factor in the stigmatization of certain groups in Africa, particularly those who are seen as deviating from religious or cultural norms. For example, people living with HIV/AIDS have often been stigmatized and discriminated against in many African societies, with some religious leaders and organizations contributing to this stigma by associating the disease with immoral behavior or the wrath of God. Moreover, some religious beliefs and practices may contribute to the stigmatization of certain groups, such as women who are accused of witchcraft or people with disabilities who are seen as cursed or possessed. Religion also stigmatizes people in the LGBTQ community. To conclude, while religion has done some good in Africa, it has also damaged a lot of African societies and communities. It is left for individuals to seek knowledge, develop critical thinking, and be kind to one another. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comment section below. See you in our next video.